get going here.
Yeah.
And then obviously I've had like those little technical issues here and there, like going up, but whatever. It seems perfectly fine, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation here. Yeah, I did some background research and I felt like I was gonna be in tears for a sec, leading up to it. Like it's pretty incredible.
It's been a lot.
You've been going.
It's been a lot. I mean, it's been 3 months now that I've been out, so I've been kind of adjusting, processing everything. I don't think it'll be that quick though, but we have our days, of course, when it's like, break down and shit, but it's been, I'm at peace. That's what I'll say for that. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, it seems like a lot. So I was going through your posts on Reddit. I mean, that's where I found you. And what struck me is that post that you made on your property in Texas.
Yeah.
And then seeing what happened after, I was like, oh my goodness, like that's the life I want to live. And then you're saying it completely changed.
Yeah, I mean, it is my family's property. So, but they were, whenever we arrived to the U.S., my dad was just a server, a busboy, so he wasn't even doing much. And after that, he worked his ass off just to get us, to do a lot. He was able to have his companies and work in construction, and he was able to put me and my brother through college, both of us, and out of pocket, because as DACA recipients or somebody that's not from here, we can't receive any funds from the government. So it had to be just all out of pocket. My dad was able to help us out, and we're super grateful for that. And so we were living a life that was pretty good, that he wanted. A life that he always wanted, basically. A life that he always wanted. He was able to give us that, and like I mentioned there, there's a lot of things that go behind my arrest and everything, but it's just, there's a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of misinformation, and I feel like this is a good time and a good platform, obviously, to speak to, and maybe change some people's minds, maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested to hear about immigration. I mean, right away, there's a difference between legal immigration and illegal immigration. That's really important for people to understand. And I did some searching, and you sent over some information about being a DACA recipient. I was really interested. I'm like, is there anything that triggered? You went into detention for 75 days, was it?
Oh, it was more than that. I ended up in detention over 100 days. I lost count after, being in there for so long. But I was in there from August 21st all the way till December 19th. So it's pretty close. So yeah, 4 months, maybe 4 months. I don't even know now.
4 months. That's a long time though. I mean, for some people people who don't know, I mean, I've thought about it before. What are you going to do for 4 months? What did you do in there? I saw you were journaling.
Well, that's one of the things I think, and we can go back to the other question in a minute about what, kind of triggered it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the first few days were just intense. I was a mess for sure. I've never been in that situation, never been, not having my phone. I'm always working on my phone, or I'm always just on my phone just for, personal reasons. So, and then doing social media too, like I'm just always close to my phone, and just not having my phone. At first I thought it was going to be hard, but it was honestly, that was probably the easiest thing. I'm surprised how well I dealt with that. I was able to journal. So I journaled pretty much almost every day for at least 2 months. Then after that, I kind of just do like, maybe every other day or every week, or if something was going on. I think I just stopped. I don't know. I don't know what changed, but I think just something obviously changed. Like after, I was like, I think this is going to be going for a while. Maybe I'll just write a lot of, just maybe the more important things, or things that were just happening. But journaling, people watch TV all the time, people sleep. We get tablets assigned to our dorms, so you can have access to texting, access to music, movies, but all of that costs money, obviously. So they're still making money regardless.
Yeah. So wait, are you allowed to keep your phone? in these places?
Oh, I mean, they take everything away from you. They literally just take everything away from you. They take your phone. They take, if you have one on you, they just take it away from you, and all you can go inside is with a bag of clothes that they give you. They just provide 3 uniforms, which is like a pants, a t-shirt, and then like a little vest. And that's what we're supposed to be wearing outside whenever we're out. That way they can identify us, because we were also in a federal jail. So they had to differentiate between us and the marshals.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to figure out, if it was like this, if it was like a standard jail that I would understand, or if it was like a custom solution for this situation. I mean, I think that this is something that's been going on for longer, so they have something set up. But
ours, that's the thing. So mine, where I was, is called Eden Detention Center, but it was a federal jail. So what I know from other people and talking, so this is all just like us coming up with conclusions and stuff, but we know it's a federal jail that ICE was renting out dorms. When I first got there was only 2 dorms for ICE. By the time I left, there was 4 dorms, and they were working on a 5th dorm. So they were going to be moving marshals either to another or getting releasing the marshals. I'm not sure what was going on there, but it turned, so far right now that I know, there's 5 dorms of ICE. And this was rented out by Core Civic. That's the company that pretty much takes care of all the ICE people. I'm not sure who they are. I wanted to do some research on there, because that's one name that we saw everywhere. It was Core Civic. And so I know there's probably something going on there with them. But yeah, it was rented out for ICE.
Yeah, because you were mentioning some bad experiences that you had in there. We'll touch on that in a sec. But I mean, that would be a pretty interesting place to do some research for that, if there was problems that you were seeing, and then tie that to a company, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like I said, they're the ones, I'm pretty sure they're the ones that were making money. And that's just something we all, like I said, we all just come to conclusions. I'm not trying to, point fingers or anything, or say this is what really happened. But, we also knew that these people make money off of us every time you're in there. We've heard some really crazy numbers of us, like how much they were making from each person each day. So we could see how it was all becoming like a mental games, and kind of like, oh, you stay longer because, more money for us, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there's the money, but there's also, like, that's kind of interesting point. Like, it kind of ties into, like, it's super political right now. There's people that misunderstand immigration, and even inside of the process, I mean, you can't discount that people who are jailing you misunderstand as well. I mean, those are employees, right?
I think that's the problem, because we were in we were in a federal jail, and we were being taken care of by officers that take care of marshals. So a lot of them, I feel like not a lot of them, there might not be that much of a training going on, or just how we felt the situation was. Like, it felt like they were just treating us the same or worse than marshals sometimes.
Yeah. There's no necessity for an education in immigration or anything like that, so you can't really have that assumption, right? So I'm all for. I'd actually be interested to see, if there was something that developed that's not even conspiratorial. It's good for the jail as well to know if there's problems going on, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I was able to talk to ICE people from time to time and let them know and express. Sometimes I would be the spokesperson for the group, because, a lot of people just don't want to speak up. A lot of them don't speak English. But we all know that we're all kind of on the same boat. We all know what's going on, what's not good, what's not working. And so I was able to speak to like higher ups, and it really didn't do much. It still continued, even though they're saying like, oh no, we're the big bosses here, we're the ICE headquarters, and it doesn't really do much.
Yeah, status quo stays the same in places like that. It's hard to imagine anything changing, right? You can say what you want, but in the end of the day, it's tough. It's a tough spot to be in. That's why I'm really happy to have your story on here. I know it's something that, you know, you can slip through the cracks with stuff like that. And this is a place to talk about it. A nice, relaxed conversation.
Yeah.
Try to hit some points, you know, and try to get your story heard. I almost barely have to do it. You were blowing up on Reddit there. Again, I was gonna mention you made a post on. I saw that you were posting a lot on like H3 podcasts in the past. You made a post there, and then you got like 400 upvotes on a comment that supported you going on that podcast. And I'm like, how did that not happen? You know?
Yeah, we're working on that still. I think we're trying to figure out a good time. Hopefully, that would be a good platform to go on as well. Like, it's just, you know, things are complicated, especially with my story. I feel like things are complicated. And maybe it sometimes I feel like it just might seem like there's two sides to it, and you know, people are gonna be hating on it. People are not gonna be, you know, the most compassionate about it, or they might also be, you know, be very supportive. And I think that's where they're at right now. They're not sure exactly where this might go, but we're still hoping to get on there.
Yeah, I mean, for anybody out there who's hearing this, it's a little tough, you know, when it's getting super politicized and there's people making bad points. For you, I mean, you're the one experiencing it. Let's listen to you instead of people that are making bad points. It's good to have support, but sometimes it's when people are hearing like super bad criminals that are getting deported, and then they're saying like, let's support that. Like, I want to give the voice to you. You know, you're quite reasonable story. It seems like you got a life taken away from you a little bit, and then you have to go to Mexico, and you're mentioning your post like it doesn't feel like home, you know?
No, I mean, it's unfamiliar. It's something I'm supposed to call my home, but it's never been my home. I mean, the U.S., America, Texas has been my home. And whether people like it or not, it's like that's where my home is. It might have not been legally my home, but it was like it. I created a whole life there. I mean, 23 years. It's not, you know, it's nothing, and it's from ages 8 to 31. So it's like, I mean, my whole entire life I created.
I mean, that's your life. Most people would say that's home, you know? I mean, I understand there's some technicalities there with the DACA recipient, and I'll definitely ask some questions about that, with like what the intentions were behind that, you know, and where you thought that was going to go and things like that, because I'm kind of interested to know. But yeah, that's like, I mean, the whole life there, you know? There's nothing to discount there. So if anything like disrupts that, or especially if something was done that was wrong, you know, that really, you know, that broke up a life there, you know.
Well, I mean, I've, you know, we can kind of get a little bit into kind of what led to the ICE arrest, but you know, I met a lot of people that, when you hear, you know, this administration is always just calling out all the criminals, anyone that has any, you know, like just the worst of the worst, pretty much what they said. And I met so many people that were even residents, people that were on visas, on parole, people with no criminal record whatsoever, that were still in their like 18-year-old kids that were just literally there out of high school and just were trying to live their life. And literally because of their skin color, that's what I feel like made them a target. Not obviously everybody, but there was obviously some of that. And for me, I had a misdemeanor on my record from 2024, which, you know, I've talked about it on a couple of questions, on some answers, and on Reddit and stuff. But it is something that I mean, I carry with me, and I'm gonna always carry, because I think that put me in the eyes of ICE, really kind of brought some attention to my case. It was a DUI that was on my record, but what I feel like is that, you know, I took accountability. Obviously, it was a big mistake, and I understand it. And I'm always going to say that. It's like, I'm nowhere, you know, going to be supportive of that. And it just, I think there was a lot that led to that DUI that had to do with my mental health and just kind of where I was in life at that moment. And I think I was struggling with that. So after that, I decided to just go to therapy, and I was doing really well. I mean, afterwards, I was just on probation, and I was just trying to follow the rules, trying to work that. And, you know, like, I was taking full accountability. And like I said, I lost a lot of privileges, like driving. I lost a lot of privileges working and stuff like that. And I mean, it's kind of the consequences that I did have to pay, but it did not expect it to erase, you know, 23 years of my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's a big so like where I mean I'm all in favor of obviously keeping people like yourself safe too if there's violent people, you know, like
Yeah,
people who are coming in the country no good business
of
and
course.
wanting to do whatever. I mean, but you were on a visa that allowed you to work. You built a life that was I mean
Yeah,
my dream life. Like, I mean,
yeah,
it's not like a big standard that like, oh my goodness, I would want to do it as well. But
yeah.
that's some people's perspective too. And it's like, that's where I kind of start to have a problem. And I feel like there's not enough coverage of that. It's like,
It's
I
not. I
don't
think
want to.
it's all very black and white. It's all very you have to be either good or bad kind of thing, and it's not like that. There's always that in the middle, and there's a lot of people in the middle. Um, like I said, I was definitely struggling, and just like anybody else, I mean, I was going through a lot of changes. I was just struggling, and like I said, I knew where my mistake was, and I knew what I had to do to correct that, and I knew that I had to face a consequence, obviously, because that was
Mhm.
kind of what made me open my eyes and see, okay, well, this is not the path I want to go down.
Yeah.
And so I was just trying to take accountability for it, but it still, made all of this happen, really.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I can't stress enough, you know, like it just feels like that's not the focus that the current administration even
Yeah.
wants to take. You know, it just seems like it's not applied in the right place. You know, I feel like violent criminals. There seems like there's actually quite a lot of
Mhm.
examples, which is interesting for that side of
Yeah.
things. Like, you know, they've got some points, but at the same time, like you're not hurting people. I mean,
Yeah.
DUI, sure, let's get into the technicals of that, but I don't see
Sure.
that as somebody who's, you know, joining a gang
Yeah.
and up to no good. There's a very different
Yeah.
intent to that. I mean, regular Americans all day run into problems like DUIs and
Yeah.
things like that. I'm not saying it's not great, but that's a more or less regular and
Yeah.
understandable problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I
So
think that's
so
where everything kind of is very, well, that's where people just get misinformed and they just want to point fingers and they're like, well, you deserve this. I read so many
mhm.
comments in there that were like, well, you deserve it. You do this, good thing that you're out of here. But it's like, there's so much that goes into it. Like I said, mental health, and there's a lot of struggles behind that. And what leads to a DUI is not just, oh, one day I'm just going to be going and doing this because I feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like a relatively regular problem
Yeah.
you know, I'm very much of an advocate for there's problems that have clear decisions of like a life that you're going down that's
Hmm.
bad, and there's a good one. And DUI doesn't fall. I mean, it's not a great path for like
Right.
personally. You're mentioning the mental health and all that,
Yeah.
and it's great to hear that you're developing from that, but that, you know, that's your personal growth there.
Hmm.
It's less of like a decision to become some criminal that we need to kick out
Yeah.
of a country, you know.
Yeah.
So that's I'm very much on board with hearing your story on there. I
Mhm.
mean, I would want to hear it anyways. Your perspective is
Yeah.
very valuable. There's always problems that can emerge. I mean, even the
Right.
worst criminal obviously needs to get taken care of so that we make
Yeah.
sure that something terrible isn't happening to somebody.
Yeah, but
um
even there, it's like like I said, I met many people that had nothing on their record that were residents, that they had their permits, like they could work, all these things. So it's not just affecting, the worst of the worst, like they're saying. It's not targeting the worst of the worst because it really, I don't think I met anybody in there that really had like any like really really bad criminal record. I thought at least and I met hundreds of men in there, and none of them had anything serious on the record. So
Yeah, and I feel everybody, including me, is wanting to hear from people like that. You mentioned that you're the one that voiced up in the
yeah,
prison. You're the one who wants to voice up here, and that's what people want to hear about. I don't think people want to hear, you know, leave it up to jails, leave it up to legal processes for things that are more defined.
yeah,
These are areas where even the current administration would want to understand this more. This is a gray area. You know,
hmm,
this is not the stated intention of what people are voting for. If they heard your story,
yeah,
they wouldn't say this guy is so different from me. You know, point the
yeah,
finger right back at them and say, you know, you're 5 seconds from a DUI perhaps, or you have
yeah,
one, you know. So
yeah,
it's that's an area that would not work. It doesn't make sense that somebody who's been in favor of actual, like, not immigration policy. I could get into immigration policy. I do not like it, but policy for illegal immigration, which you are not. You were actually going through a legal process. That's not good. I mean, doesn't protect anybody, including legal immigrants. So
that was the point of DACA. That was the point of DACA, really. It was, I mean, with that, DACA is not really any, I mean, it has its protection against deportation. It gives us a work permit and a social security that has to be renewed every 2 years. So obviously they check it, they do background checks. They check on everything before they can even let you apply again. So, I mean, they're very strict with that. And I've been having it since it came out, like in 2009, 2012. It was like around the first Obama administration, I believe. And so I've had it ever since. I've had no issues renewing because I've kept it. I've been a good citizen. I've been doing everything I could. I went to school. I graduated. I mean, I did everything correctly. And so, like I said, it does erase, 23 years of your life whenever just a mistake kind of puts you right there.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to, you want to put it people as little as like constantly checking boxes as possible so they can grow and develop themselves. When did you mention the DUI happened, and when was your last renewal? Did you see a different approach between the administrations when they changed on the same DUI?
So DUI happened in 2024. Now that was just, I mean, I think I had just renewed my permit, so I didn't have to renew it for another year or so. I still had some time. It actually expired while I was in jail, so I wasn't able to get that renewed again. We were gonna try, but because of the DUI case, and so I had a criminal attorney to help me get that situated, and that situation just kind of on the pass. And so we were trying to work on that, but at the same time, I was nervous. There wasn't really any right answer. Nobody was really telling me, okay, if you renew, they're gonna take it away, or if you renew, even though I wasn't convicted of anything at the time, and I still haven't been convicted because everything's still pending. And
the DUI is still pending?
Yep. It's still going for.
Is there a maximum amount of time until they throw that out? Or
I mean, my lawyer is still representing me because, I mean, if I'm working and I want to work towards going back to the U.S. at some point legally, I think it would affect me. So we're still trying to take care of that. There's not much that I know of that because it just moves very, very slow. Like whenever I was in the courts, they were like, we're so backed up, it's gonna take a couple of years to get everything situated. And I mean, it's definitely been that. And so there was no right answer whether I should renew or not. But I was kind of waiting last minute to see, okay, maybe I renew, maybe because I didn't want to get renewed and then maybe not be able to get it. I was hoping that my case would be over by the time I had to renew, basically.
Okay. Were you waiting until the case was done to renew?
But there was I was also, okay, maybe I could renew before it ends, but then I don't want to jump the gun and then kind of not get it renewed, so it was just no right answer there. But I was waiting, and I was going to try to do it while I was in detention, but there was really no way to renew. That was going to be my last resort. It was like, okay, well, if I can try to renew, but really there was no really way to do it while detained.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, I guess most people would take that approach to try to get some conclusion on that so that you can get a bit more certainty behind the renewal. But that's like, so did it officially lapse? Like did your status lapse and then they came and like picked you up, or how did that work?
Well, no, that's the thing. It was my DACA was still it was still good. My DACA didn't expire till October, but I got arrested in August. And literally when I just went, I was on probation. I went to my third appointment. So everything was going well. First, second, okay. Third appointment, they were like, well, we need to speak to you real quick. Like my probation officer was just, hey, can we speak to you here? And that's when, I mean, they started asking me questions, and I didn't really know what was going on. I thought it was just somebody that works there, or I don't know, because they weren't even
Yeah.
showing badges or nothing like that. And then they were like, well, laws are changing. You need to see an immigration judge. And that was really it.
That sounds freaky.
Yeah, they didn't tell me much. I mean, they literally just said, laws are changing. Laws are changing.
That sounds freaky.
Yeah.
The laws are changing. See the book.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh
And then they
my,
just take
that
out the
gives me
badges,
some
and then
chills.
that's when you know that it's ICE people. And at that point, I already knew what was going to be happening, and so I was just. The thing is, I was scared because I was also with my mom. She had to take me to do the appointment, and so I was also worried for her, just making sure that nothing happened to her. But then I also wanted to at least tell her, hey, this is happening. But there was no way. I couldn't even tell her bye. I couldn't say anything until I was already in the car, in the back of their car.
Through your probation officer getting told basically going to get picked up for this. So did you get picked up when you showed up to a probation appointment?
Yeah, I just went in, and then I still paid the fees that you have to pay. So they just, they could have at least told me not to, at least. But I went in, I checked in, I paid it was like $75 that I had to pay. And then I went in there, and they just took me to a room, talked to me, said the laws are changing, literally less than 5 minutes.
And then they showed up and picked you up.
Well, they were there telling me that this was going to be happening.
Oh, that was ICE that was there?
That was ICE that was telling me, but they didn't have uniforms. They literally, this guy was just in a t-shirt and shorts, and then this other guy just regular clothing too, like. And then they just take out their badges whenever they told me that. So it's
an experience like that, tying into what we were talking about not being a violent criminal. I don't want anybody to experience that.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who overthinks in the morning. If you tell me we have to talk, I'm already worried. That sounds scary.
Yeah. It was. And like I said, I was just worried for my mom. I was worried about just everything. I wasn't really thinking about, I was saying like, let me say bye to her. But then honestly, something clicked. I was like, you know what? I don't need to do that because I don't want to put her in any danger. I don't want her to. I mean, I know how she would react, especially seeing me being taken. And so I think it was better that I didn't.
Goodness.
And so in the back of the car, they just let me make a call. And as soon as I drove off the parking lot, I was able to see my mom. And, they were already telling her that I was being taken away by ICE. So that was just one of the.
Because you can't do anything as a rational human being. You can't flee. Like that's not a criminal thing. Like, my goodness.
And you hear about people that try to do that, or they're just violent towards you. Like I've heard several cases of officers being violent towards people's, or, just making it worse. And I knew that that's not what I wanted. I just complied. And I mean, that's all I had to do. That's really all.
Yeah. Wow. The violence and all that. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're a violent individual, but wow, that makes my heart sink just thinking of that and knowing me. That is a scary thing to get told.
Yeah.
And wow, saying stuff like, I don't want my mom to see me getting picked up. Like, oh my goodness.
No, it was hard. And then I was taken to a Dallas, it was a holding center, or I'm not sure what they even call it, but it was different from where I was. And that was just there for 3 days. Well, just 3 days, but it was like, it's just a room where you're sharing a room with a bunch of guys. You are on the floor. It's crowded. It's hot. It's cold. Food is the worst. You don't really eat anything. Like those 3 days, I really did not eat anything. You can't shower. There's a bathroom in there. You have to just use the bathroom in front of everybody. You just gotta be dirty, really, because you get on the floor.
I mean, so I mean, that's full on jail. I mean, instead of prisons, like you're in a cell and you're still going to the washroom in front of people. It's not any less humiliating. But wow, so what were you doing like the morning, the week of before you get this phone call? Let's hear about this life that you were living. I mean, and then what you went into. That's just a terrifying call to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I was just normal. I mean, it was the middle of summer, so I mean, I was working from home because I couldn't really drive anywhere. I was respecting all of that. You know, I didn't have my license or anything available, so I was just working from home. Me and my mom were always together just because she doesn't work, so me and her are always just doing stuff, and she'd be the one to take me to therapy. She'd be the one that was taking me to all these places, appointments, anything that I needed. Um, I would go out with my friends from here to time. I was doing therapy weekly. So after my DUI, I was in therapy from August of 24 all the way to August of 25. Literally, I had an appointment that that week that I got arrested, and this was something I discussed with my therapist as well. Just kind of like the fear of this could happen. So the fact that it did happen, it was it was just a lot, and yeah, I mean, I was just living a normal life. I mean, it was, summer, like I said. So I had my pool. I was just laying out. I would work, and there was not much that I could do. So
Yeah, I mean, living it up. It's summer in the
yeah,
U.S. Like, come on, let's have some fun.
exactly.
Good thing that you did that now. I mean,
Yeah.
let's put a joke into it
No,
there.
absolutely, absolutely. I was
But
still
wow,
enjoying it. I was still enjoying it, and then they actually rescheduled my appointment. So that's the thing. I think it was supposed to be like a week later, but they were like, "Hey, can you come in this week instead? We just had to, you know, we just have to get this done before." And that was it.
yeah.
And I didn't think,
Were you like you didn't think anything of that? I
no,
mean, there wasn't. So were
no.
you at all like cautious or anything as like the administration was changing and you heard like reports and stuff like that? Or were you like,
Uh, I mean, yeah, I mean, honestly, after the DUI was kind of where everything obviously changed. And
oh, I guess you had the DUI already, so
yeah,
you were like
it's been a year already. So I think I was just being already cautious. Um, but I also, like I said, I discussed with my therapist a lot of the times that this could happen, that this would be something that could be in the cards for me. And so we discussed it multiple times. And I mean, it was something that I already had in the back of my mind, and it was very possible.
it's
But at the
tough to
same time,
foresee how that happened so quick though. And
yeah,
definitely the what it sounds like it transpired towards, I'm holding that off a little bit to get some more details on
yeah,
it. But wow, it's like sounds like a lot all at once.
hmm,
And it sounds like you were a year away from the DUI event and
hmm,
probably just like chilling up a regular life,
yeah,
doing what you're doing,
yeah,
and then this kind of happens all at once, which is a little freaky.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
What just happened, and like I said, I was not expecting it. Even when I went in there, everything seemed so normal. When I went to check in, and when I went through, it never took more than like 10, 15 minutes at my appointments. So I was there, checked in, paid. Like I said, you pay a fee for that, for like court fees, and you pay for like probation fees
Yeah.
and all this stuff. So it's,
So those are fees you're paying for probation check-ins then?
yeah, $75. It was what
Wow.
I was supposed to pay.
That's, I mean, I was gonna say that story gives people chills no matter their political leanings. I'm telling you that is something to hear.
Yeah,
Being that you're not, I mean, I think people should really, really take on to that point that you're somebody who has a very normal problem in the eyes of most Americans, and you're
yeah,
being told to come in and you're basically time to move. That's what you're
yeah.
being told there. That's
That's all they say.
freaky.
That's all they say. Yeah, it
Yeah,
would.
well, the limited
Well,
information and like you're not telling you everything,
hmm,
that's a little freaky. So you're in Tijuana, Mexico right now.
yeah,
And you're mentioning that obviously it's pretty new experience.
hmm,
Being that you lived in the US since you were 8, sorry.
yeah. Since I was 8, I lived in Texas, North Dallas. Yeah, North Dallas. So I was,
And a
yeah,
beautiful, beautiful big
yeah.
property. You mentioned you're birthing a child.
No, 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 no. That's not me.
Oh,
No,
sorry, I might have misread that. I was going to say that might have added a lot of
no,
complications to
definitely
that.
not. No, no, that's not. But
Okay.
I do live. I mean, it was in a big property. My dad, like I said, he bought that property during COVID. And that was kind
Yeah.
of where, when everything shut down, which is kind of right now, around this time that it shut down. My dad bought this property. He began building. So all of that is just brand new construction. It was all flat, no, not even grass, none of that. So my dad was able to
Hmm.
build that. And my whole family, well, we ended up just crashing there because, everything was shut down. So we all just lived there. Now everyone's kind of doing their own thing. I have an older sister and a younger brother,
Hmm.
and they do their own thing, but I live with my mom, my sister, and her husband and kids.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you still have before we get into this further, because now we're really getting into like the core of like your
Mm-hmm.
experience, and obviously like before we kind of covered that a little bit. The middle and after is like really where the details get and your opportunity to share that.
Yeah.
But let's say where people can find you right now online. You mentioned that you wanted to write a book
Yeah.
about this experience and maybe share where people can find you just so that they
Yeah.
can keep on with the story.
um well, I pretty much just have like my social media, like Instagram. I have pretty much that's kind of where I use that as my platform for now. And then that's just Jonathan Celis, so that's JONATHANCELIS. And then I have a podcast I also mentioned that I'm doing, kind of bringing back, and it's on YouTube. It's called Halfway to Crazy. We're going to be talking a little bit more about that, but I don't want to make that podcast just about, this experience. Also, me and my co-hosts have always just made it more fun, more silly. So I think we want to still continue with that, but also bring some awareness and speak up on my experience. That's kind of what we're wanting to do. The book, it's already pretty much, I've written a lot of it. Now I'm just trying to incorporate a lot of my journal entries into where some of the stories fit, and I just talk about a lot of the stuff pretty much that happened. And so I'm hoping that I can do something. I'm trying to, I mean, I've never written a book, never even thought about writing a book, so it's all new. I'm kind of looking into the publishing and how that works, but I'm hoping to get something out. And I do want a lot of eyes on it because, like I said, it's something that people just don't hear. And it's one of those, a lot of people that I've talked to from in jail that I've met in there, a lot of the guys, a lot of friends I made, they really don't. I feel like they don't speak about it publicly like this just because it's past them, or a lot of them didn't have, like, the life that I had where I had 23 years. Some of them only had been in the US for 2, 3 years. So I totally get it. It's a different experience for them, but I always made it a point. I think at the beginning of writing the journal inside, it was like, this is something I want people to see in the future. This is something I want people to hear. And if it's not, I've always said, if it wasn't for the people that I was with at the time, it hopefully helps for the people that come in, because I know this administration wasn't going to stop. And so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of wanted this to be something for the future, or for the people that come in and have to deal with all of this.
Yeah, people dealing with the process too. I mean, immigration is a struggle by itself, so
Mm-hmm.
that's just really something to hear. And yeah, I mean, for the more positive situations, give some people perspective as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
imagine having to deal with this story
Yeah.
yourself. I could only imagine. So this is really puts perspective
Mm-hmm.
for all of us. So thank you for writing that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a it's a beautiful thing. So when you were journaling on your phone. Then let's talk about what you were doing on the inside. And journaling sounds like a huge part of it.
Well, actually, I was journaling. Like, I literally, like, I had some pages, so I had like an actual journal that I was able to have. At first, I was literally just writing in the back of, like, they gave us a bunch of just medical forms that we could fill out, or stuff like that that we just needed for whatever. So I was just writing in the back of those. But then I know through commissary we could get a journal and a pen. So as soon as I got like my first commissary, I was able to buy a journal and just journal every day. So I was just writing, handwriting. We get a tablet, but that's only for, you gotta share with your roommates and stuff like that. Um, but no, it was just in the morning. Kind of, that was kind of my thing. I would wake up. I don't know why, but I would wake up really early and maybe have some coffee, talk to some friends, watch the news, and then I would just journal and listen to music. That's kind of one of my, I hate to say it, but it was kind of one of my favorite things to do in there, was just listen to music, drink coffee, and just journal. That was
That's a
really,
very healthy way to go through that experience.
yeah. And so I just kind of made it a part of my routine. And then I would just go back to sleep for a little bit. And I mean, I'd probably wake up till like lunchtime, which kind of goes into the schedule. It's like at 4:30, lights go up. And so 4:30 is breakfast. 4:30 or 5 is breakfast time. 12 is lunch, and then 5 is dinner. So you get your 3 meals right there in those times. So the lights go off again at 10. Phones go off at 10. Um, tablets have to be put up at 10. And then after that, you can literally do whatever. You can stay up. There was people that would stay up talking all night. Um, some would just play games. I like to play Uno in there with my friends. I like to play cards. We played Monopoly. We played Scrabble. I mean, we had a couple of games there to just play. And then this bunk situation, I guess I'll kind of explain how the layout was, but it was 4 people for cubicle. So we had
I was just going to ask about the layout so people can get a feel for what it's like. I mean, this journal sounds like an incredible thing to be able to take out of there. So that's super cool that you took it.
I was nervous that I couldn't, especially because I heard around that you probably couldn't take any kind of forms that had any information about the place in there. And I wrote a lot in those forms. But no, I didn't have any issues with that. I was able to bring all my stuff, but I did hear of people that got their stuff taken away or got their stuff lost. So, I mean, I was lucky with that. But the layout is literally, it's about 150 people in a dorm. So it's a big dorm. And you share a cubicle. So the cubicles are divided by walls, literally. So no cells in there, nothing like that. It's all walls. And I mean, it kind of, I really like that because you get to have just your privacy, somewhat, privacy. You get your own bed. You share a bunk bed with somebody, so you're the bottom or top. Most of us that got there usually got our lower bunk, and then most of them like to keep the lower bunks. So I was able to keep my lower bunk, which is the best because you get no lights. Because even though they shut off the lights, we still have emergency lights on for the whole night. So the bottom one's sort of the best. And it's always 4 people. Sometimes you'll have less because people leave and then they'll come back and then they'll fill them up again. So you get new roommates all the time. I was actually able to make a friend in there that was similar to me, same situation, been over there like he had been since he was 4. So he was in the US for about 20 years. He spoke English very well, and he was one of the few ones that did. So I just gravitated to him really quick, and we just became literally like brothers. We became like brothers. And so we were always rooming together. We were working. You can work in there. There's a counselor, which kind of oversees the dorm, really, and like how every activity that goes on in the dorm. She can help out with maybe clothing if you need extra clothing, or I mean, some were good counselors, some were, somewhat, but lucky with a good counselor. And yeah, you have your TV room, you have 2 bathrooms, you have 3 microwaves, 4 microwaves sometimes. Weekly commissary that you only order over the weekend. And yeah, I mean, that was kind of the layout. I mean, the rules. We have 2 officers per day, so one is from 6 in the morning to 6 p.m. and the other one 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then they just switch. And they sometimes could be random, sometimes could be more constant, which I like that there was some that were more constant, and so I was able to gravitate towards some.
Yeah, so this is like, is this like a lower security zone of the prison then? Is this, or was it like medium?
I mean, we were considered, I guess, low. Yeah, I guess we were considered low, especially like our uniforms. Like I said, ours were blue, so that's how they would be able to tell us apart from all the other ones that were in there, from detainees to the marshals. And yeah, I mean, there was, like I said, there was nobody in there that I met that had some crazy criminal record. I think if anything, they would be in the marshals rather than ICE.
So it wasn't too dangerous of an environment, though.
No, but I mean, I think just people
I
being
mean,
stuck
it's
there
still
sometimes.
prison though.
Well, people still being stuck in there for so long, and there's so many personalities. Obviously, everyone's different countries. They all have different languages, different manners. I mean, there was obviously fights that would break out. Sometimes people didn't have patience for stuff, and that totally just comes from the environment. Like that is just. I don't think anybody was necessarily malicious or just trying to be bad, but I think people just get fed up with things, and sometimes you're in a good mood, sometimes you're not, and people will piss you off, and anything could turn into a little fight. I saw some dumbest fights too, or not even fights, maybe just arguments between people. But it was, like I said, I think had to do with just the environment, not necessarily the people in there, not part of the personality.
Yeah, it gets a little much when you've been sitting in there for a little bit, so I could see how that.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to say that one thing that I think I got lucky with, it was that I spoke English, and speaking English, it's a huge plus in there, honestly. Like, I hate to say it because it made me uncomfortable sometimes, but I could see myself being treated better than others just for speaking English, and because I was able to help out in different things. I mean, I was using that to my advantage. Obviously, like I was helping out people fill out their medical stuff, or just medical sheets if they need any attention, or if they had any problems with the counselor or with other people, anything. I was able to help out, fill out paperwork. But I could see a lot of them just be ignored or not. They weren't as attentive, and I don't think that's. I mean, I don't know if that says something about the officers, but like I said, it did help me and give me a huge advantage, which was sometimes uncomfortable because it also put a target on my back. Sometimes it's like, well, you're so close to the officers, you're so close to this. It's like you're supposed to be one of us, but it's like, but I am. But I was trying to, do as much as I can to speak up for those that couldn't speak up or couldn't say much, and so that was one thing that was, I guess, one of the hardest things was just dealing with that. And I mean, there were some officers that were really good, and like I made some good friends with some officers that I still talk to here on the outside. Which I don't, I can't say names, but there's some officers that I really became friends with that have my back, and they'll call me and check in on me. They'll try to see what's up, and I mean, yeah.
I can see why you can't share names there, but wow.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, it's good that you at least had some people that, made you feel comfortable in that environment. That's, that can be, I can only imagine, going through that, it's a brand new situation. You go from regular life to that. I mean, did you go through like the jail or prison process before when it came to the DUI and stuff like that?
I mean, it was just kind of like, you just had to go. I had to go to the hospital, get my blood drawn, and then just fill out a lot of paperwork. That was it. Like I only stayed one night in jail. Well, it was a night, but just a few hours, and I was released. So it wasn't.
And that's jail. That's not like full detention center.
Yeah, no, that was
things.
Yeah, I think I don't even remember honestly like how that was, but I know that was more closer to the holding cell that I was in Dallas. And I was there, like, usually you're supposed to be out of there within a day or two, but they kept me there for 3 days because I refused to sign my deportation. And I think that was like a punishment that they were just trying to punish me, of course, just like, oh, you're not.
Wow, they wanted you to sign the deportation right away.
Yeah, that night they asked me, they were like, you've been convicted of this, and that, even though I knew back home with my attorney that I had not been convicted of anything. They're like, you've been convicted of this, and that. They don't show you any paperwork. They just say you're convicted. You need to sign your deportation papers, and that's about it. But I did not sign deportation, and that's why I stayed long. I stayed 3 days in the holding cell, and then I went to Eden, where I spent pretty much the rest of my time.
Wow. That's a good awareness to not sign those papers right away, having the lawyer and all that.
But they don't let you speak to a lawyer until you're transferred to another facility. That's the thing. I couldn't get my lawyer. Luckily, so my uncle was arrested in California by ICE also last year. He only stayed there for about 30 days, which is, it's still an experience, but he was less time. but we were able to get that same lawyer to get on my case, and she just did the best she could. So we knew how to move once I got arrested. But you just have to wait till you transfer to where you're gonna be staying for the rest of the time.
Wow, well, it sounds like you're really lucky for that familial support. I mean, you did mention in your post, you said thankful for the support you see from friends and family. I'm sure that was really supportive in the process.
Yeah, my friends were, I mean, I have a few best friends that were, I constantly checked in on them. They constantly checked in on me. We could text. They were kind of the ones that keeping my my head not going crazy. Like they would tell me just little things that were happening out here in the world, and I could read them too in the news or watch, but they would just tell me things that were more in my interest. They would tell me, oh, hey, this celebrity's getting arrested, this is happening, this just happened, like all these kind of fun things to not keep my head from going crazy. So I mean, they were the best, and I never doubted that they wouldn't be there. But it definitely was three or four people that were there the entire time. My mom, my dad, my brother, everybody was. I called my mom every day a couple of times. That way she could be okay. My sister, she was the one that was really doing everything. She helped me. I honestly, I felt like she lived it just the same way as I did, because she was the one constantly helping me out. If other people needed help from the outside, she would help me contact people's relatives or put commission money into their accounts so they just don't know how to work the applications or the websites or anything. So she would talk to a lot of family members, and I was just looking at a list of people that we helped out because I have the records on our phone, and I could just see all the list of numbers and people that she was able to help out through me. And like my sister would see the best through all of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't have that support when they go through a process like that. I mean, they for one reason or another, they just don't have, like, even to have check-ins or information being said to you during the day. Like, it's fantastic. That's way better,
Yeah.
So it's great that they were there for you.
And that thing got actually, that was funny because I spoke English very well, so I pretty much got to know all the staff members there, everybody, and I would ask them sometimes. Sometimes some of them knew when people would get deported. So I would ask almost every night, hey, how many people are leaving tonight? And that was my information to bring back to the dorm. And then everybody always just asked, hey, do you know how many are leaving tonight? Because everyone's waiting to leave. So,
and I became, so you just you don't really know when you're going back. Did you know that you were getting deported when you entered detention?
No, I mean, I was fighting my case. I got my attorney right away. We were working on my case. We were trying to fight something to let me stay. But that was also one thing, and people don't know, is the due process was just ignored completely because I was fighting my case. I had an appeal in motion by the time I got arrested. So I was not expecting it. One day to another, they're like, you going somewhere else? And even when they said you're going somewhere else, they were like, you might not be getting deported. You might just be getting transferred somewhere. And after I got transferred, they were like, no, you're getting deported and you can't make a call. So I wasn't able to call my lawyer. I wasn't able to call anybody anymore because I was already in another facility where I was going to be deported.
Because general officers don't really know the case, so they're just telling you like general information.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tough. That's tough to go through that process to get that initial call. And then after that call, you have to spend that time, a lengthy time in detention. And then think, hopefully, I can come back, I can continue with this. And then hearing the news, it's so I mean you're just charging up your laptop there, but yeah, you were mentioning that you go through this process. You didn't know that you were going to get deported back to Mexico. Got picked up on a freaky call. I mean, we talked about it earlier. And then you get detained for quite a long time, and then you find out that you're gonna get deported, like basically at the last minute before it happens. Basically,
and that's honestly the hardest part because I mean I met people that were in detention for like maybe 9 months, and then their case was just not going anywhere, or they're like, you're denied. You can't. Nothing can save you really at this point. It's like, yeah, you've been there, you're stuck in there, you kind of go through the whole thing and you're thinking, well, maybe there's a chance. And what you hear a lot is, And this is what we hear just from everyone, and there's not necessarily from somebody that like has some authority or anything, but it's like, well, the longer you stay, it's probably the most likely that you'll like that they're wanting to test you in a way. They're like, if this person can stand, and this is crazy to say, but if they can make it through 9 months, then we'll let them stay. That's kind of what everyone thinks. And so I was even preparing myself at 4 months. I was preparing myself to go for another 6 to 10 months. Honestly, I was just saying, I'm like, if I'm gonna be able to stay, it's gonna be worth it. So
wow,
stay there longer. I was already kind of putting that in my head that it's gonna be a longer time. But I was also ready to get out. Like there was times where I was just already telling my sister, I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like we really gotta figure something out. And just because you just have those days, but there was days where I was literally saying, I'm ready to fight this till the end, like until there's no more that I could do. And I mean, I was under an appeal, so we were waiting for them to accept it, and then they literally approved it after I was deported, which makes no sense.
mm-hmm. Well, they approved the appeal after you were deported?
Well, approve just means that they're going to be listening to my case, and I'm going to be going up to other judges, and I think it's like higher. I'm not sure how the court works, but yeah, I was told that it got approved after I was deported already.
Wow. And do you know a conclusion on that yet?
I mean, right now there's really none. We have to figure out a way, honestly, and I still have my attorney working on that, and there's a lot of legal stuff that I don't really know or how it works, especially now being over here in Mexico. But I mean, I'm hoping to one day get back and be able to do it the legal way. That's the only reason. That's the only way I would go back, is doing it legal way. I mean, I had so.
I mean, you did it the legal way. It sucks that that charge gets seen. I know that it's very restrictive in nature, the DACA, but it sucks that it got seen. To me, it sucks seeing that. Like, I think we have to put more of an emphasis on violent criminals that make a purpose to commit crime as like a career. Those are you can't distinguish those, in my opinion, when you're making the other qualification for getting disqualified, like just a DUI. Like,
I'm against that too. I wouldn't want those people in the country, especially. I have nephews that are young kids, and like I wouldn't want them to be dealing or having to be around people like that. Obviously, like that's not something that I would want. But just being able to tell the difference and where that, everyone's case was different also. So there's also no way of saying, okay, maybe you're doing this the wrong way, you're doing the right way. But it's a lot of us, or a few of us actually, there wasn't that many, but a few of us were there for more than 20 years. And I think that's what they should really look into. But what I always heard from my sister and my attorney is that their judges in Texas are just very racist, and they're not really. I don't think I've heard many cases that were won in my detention center. I was hoping to be one of them, but I wasn't here.
Even just politics, it can have a huge impact on whether you're gonna, politics of judges and the way, even just their I don't know if you'd call it politics, but the way they tend to rule. It's very much something that's studied by lawyers to try to get the right judge. So hopefully you get the right judge with your case. I know that it's harder to come by, which is what you're getting at there, maybe in Texas. I mean,
well, California has better. I mean, my uncle got out, and he had been in the U.S. obviously almost a little bit longer than I was, maybe like 30 years. But he had his businesses and everything, and I mean, he was able to get out within like 30, 40 days. And I mean, I obviously stayed longer, and my attorney she also works in California and Texas and Florida. So she practices in all three of those. She says this is the hardest state I've ever had to fight a case in, and she was definitely made it aware. But she did everything she could, I know, and we got far for sure. It's just not where we wanted to go.
It's tough when states are taking very different stances to try to average to this point they're trying to make. I totally feel you on that. It's very tough. I mean, good for you for staying in Texas, knowing that they're quite strict, but I can also see how that's not something you have to foresee. You're not like a career criminal that chose his spot based on where he's going to have an easier time with this stuff. But I think that's a clear, like the biggest, like one of the bigger points of this for me, like what I take from this, which is very, like, we'll get into like you talking about people misunderstanding immigration. I think that's a really strong point.
Yeah.
And it ties into that. It's, for me, I see like three different things. Like there's, I might not say it perfectly here, but there's like, there's career violent criminals on the streets that make clear decisions for monetary gain, or, you know, they've gotten warnings that, you know, violence is a very intentional thing, in my opinion. I've never been a violent person. So these people, I think, need to get treated different. We need to leave out the category of crimes for anything like this, where normal Americans would be doing this, you know.
Imagine
a normal American is not liked when they're a violent criminal. Like they would have been deported who knows how long ago if they could, you know. Nobody wants to be around that. It's scary to be around that. It's not a career path that helps you, anybody else in society, or anything like that. And it fuels problems, you know. And you didn't enter, a point to stress is you did not enter the United States without an opportunity to work. You entered under a very legal, allowable.
I do want to make that. No. I do want to say that because I did obviously come in not the legal way. I didn't have anything going on, but at 8 years old, I don't have a choice. This is just something, you know, my parents wanted for us. They decided that for us. And that's one of the things that people in Reddit or on Reddit were like, well, are you mad at your parents? Are you mad at this people? I'm like, I'm not. Like, you saw my property. Why would I be mad at that? I mean, I know my dad was able to do it without any kind of legal status, you know, and we're still struggling with that. But later on, whenever Obama came in, I was able to get all that situated by just being protected with the DACA. So that came in afterwards. But still, my dad gave us opportunities. We took advantage of those. We went to high school, we went to college. So, I mean, I was paying taxes for, you know, I don't even know how long I paid taxes for, because I was working at the age of 15 or 16. And so I totally get it. Whereas, like, you know, people, but we didn't come to commit any crimes. We didn't come to do this, right? I just wanted a better future for us. I didn't have a choice at 8 years old, really. And so I do want to say that if we didn't come with any status, we were able to get a status later on, but that status does not lead to citizenship or any kind of status in the U.S. A lot of people were like, well, why don't you just get married? Why don't you? It's like, no, it's not that simple either. Like, that's really one of the only ways to get citizenship here. If you're under DACA or some other permit, it's like marrying somebody that's from the U.S., but that just didn't happen. I'm not going to go and do it the illegal way, because that's what people criticize us for. And that's, you know, I'm not trying to do any of that. I was trying to follow.
It's not like you didn't make that decision, you know.
Exactly.
You came in. So, I mean, you definitely fit in that category that I'm talking to. And that's not even my main point, right? It's like violent. I mean, I'm not advocating anybody come in if they're not a violent criminal, and that I'm advocating for that. Do it the legal way. But even the immigration process there, it's like, if you have something on your record that is not a clearly defined path towards you escalating into some large criminal, I think that needs to be the category that's looked at. And that's very much the literature that's being put out, or the statements being put out by DHS and the administration right now. It's very, very strict to some people, but if it was followed to that, it would be targeting people that are not like you. It does not sound like I know the technicalities, it can get interpreted like that, but it doesn't sound like the purpose of those programs that are there.
No, and many of the people that I met literally were on their way to work. Like at least 80% of the people that I met were probably on their way to work or coming home from work. Like these people that were working towards, and some of them had made a really good life within 2-3 years that they had been in the US. You know, some of them maybe wasted time. Some of them were younger. Some of them were maybe more into just, you know, just trying to live and find a better opportunity. But that's also one of the things I kind of learned in there while talking to so many. It's like, well, you can easily make a life, you know, for yourself in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And then also you can also let that opportunity go by and do nothing with your life. And some people I did meet that were angry. Some people were angry at the country. Some people didn't want anything to do with the country anymore. But it's like that's also kind of on you. That's also kind of on you if you didn't make anything from, you know, for yourself within those few years that you were here. But other people could. It's just really how you do it, and that's kind of what I'm for. It's like if you can make a life and you can do something good, no crimes, nothing like that. My dad, it took him literally so long for him to have everything that we have now, but you know, he worked his ass off. He has nothing on his record. He's always paying taxes, like he has his businesses, like all these things. And it helped me and my siblings obviously create a life for ourselves and have a better opportunity. But I guess that's the part that people don't see. People think it's like, well, you know, why don't you just get married? Why didn't you just become a citizen? Why did you waste so much time not being a citizen? I'm like, well, there's really no way I could.
There's simple, tough things to say, like asking if you're angry at a country or your family or things like that. It's discounting like an earlier point. Let's just like, why don't we just look at like you're a contributing person in society who acquired. I mean, you didn't make the decision, so let's just say you acquired a citizenship legally, because it's not like you made that decision to enter yourself when you were younger. You didn't really like who makes rational decisions like that when they're 8 years old. So you're going through a legal path and you had a very defined legal route. I just don't I very much don't agree with you're not a violent criminal. You're not somebody who chose a bad route. You had a way to work. You had a way to pay taxes. You were contributing, and that's something that I think a lot of people wouldn't stand for, regardless of their politics. Like, what problem do you have with that person?
Yeah, and I had no benefits from it. Like I said, we couldn't get scholarship. We couldn't get loans. We couldn't get any kind of benefits from that permit. It's only you have your work, your social security, your work permit, and you're protected from deportation. That's it. You don't get anything else. And no.
Can you vote? Can you vote?
You can't vote. You can't get any, what's it called, like Medicaid, Medicare, any kind of like insurances like that. You can't. You have to, like I said, we don't. That's kind of a misconception there, because people think, oh, they're getting all these benefits. It's like, no, we're not. We're actually contributing. Yeah, we get nothing back.
Yeah, I would have actually thought that you could vote, but you just can't claim benefits, maybe. But that's actually like it does not sound like your case has anything to do with the people that are being targeted by this administration. Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. And it sounds like something that it's like it's looking at because a DUI is a criminal offense, is it? Like technically, right?
It was a misdemeanor, yeah. I mean, but it's still, you know, part of my record. Is still something that it's obviously a criminal record. It's something on my record already. I was trying to get it, you know, taken away, and you obviously had to work on that. It's like probation was not just probation meetings. It was literally having to do community service and go into like programs and everything. That's why I also like decided it's like I didn't want to go through any kind of programs. I just wanted to go to therapy, talk to, because I know there was stuff going on that led to that. So, and I think that was the best thing and best route I could have taken, because I think that year of therapy really helped me get through the 4 months of detention. Like it made me a different person by the time I was done. Well, I was done with therapy, but going into detention, I think all of the work that I did in there definitely like helped me out as much as I could.
Yeah, you chose the route that you can better yourself instead of just putting in time. So that's good. I mean, again, that shows that. I mean, you're contributing, you're getting better in places that you're. I mean, I can't get past things like a DUI, like being like that's for me. I classified things as like a very social, not socially acceptable, obviously, but but I'd say like that's a very normal. Like you're not like, oh, I wish we could kick this person out of our country type problem to have, versus somebody who goes and robs a place or something like that. Like that's just so different to me, but it's seen the same. So that's very tough to hear, and obviously ties into the point of like people understanding immigration and stuff like that. If you have a bunch of restrictions on you and you can't actually behave like an American, then and you can't even vote, you're paying tax. There's already a huge burden on you there. Like you're paying taxes, you're not receiving anything other than like being able to stay there. But obviously there is a benefit in that, but it's not like you're sitting around claiming benefits and committing crimes.
No,
that is something it sounds like that is who is being targeted by these policies. That is who should be targeted by these policies. That's how it's written. We're getting into terms and conditions when we talk about people like you. And I do not like those terms and conditions are not to be interpreted like that. So I hope that you find the right judge and that your lawyer helps you through that.
Yeah. We're hoping it's a little, I mean, now that I'm outside, it's like, I think it'll be easier to, well, not easier, but it's just going to be better to fight it out here than if I would have continued to fight it in there, especially in Texas. Like fighting it just would have been more complicated. Like I said, I met people that were in there for 9 months and they got all their stuff denied and all that time wasted. And, I think obviously like being in there, I don't want to say this, it was like a good thing or it helped me, but it did help me in a way because I had gone through a DUI before. I had already gone to therapy, and I think it helped me clear my head a lot, like really step away from everything, really made me mature, really made me grow up in those 4 months. I feel like I'm definitely a different person now than I was back in August, honestly. Like it was life changing. I see things differently. I don't know. Something just clicked in me that was like, I definitely don't want to go through that route and, in that path.
Yeah, it sounds like a huge growth process that you just went through. And obviously that's going to take some time to process. And that's a good way to mention that your book that you're working on, you've got a real journal that you've got there right in front of you from inside detention. That's super interesting by itself. People are going to want to hear how you're growing through this process and obviously hear something at minimum that gives them perspective on their life, something that makes you proud as an American, something that you want to join again. I mean, there's I don't see a big reason why people wouldn't want you to come back and contribute because you really provided a lot, But anyways, let's finally touch on, you mentioned familial support and also like we were talking about like people misunderstanding like going back to Mexico and then like it's not mutually exclusive that you like one country and don't like another country.
That I got a lot on Reddit. It's like, well, if you're from Mexico, you should just go back, or like, do you hate America? I got some comments just teasing me about like, well, you're from Mexico, just if you love it so much, then go back. Like I can do both. Like I consider myself, honestly, I did consider myself Mexican American just because I was living there. I had been there for so long, but I'm also Mexican. I mean, my culture's still in me. My parents always instill that culture in us. Like I speak English and Spanish really well. And so I think both can be true. Like I can love where I come from, but I can also love the country that gave me, an opportunity. And I'm not mad at the government. I'm not mad or angry or bitter at anybody, I mean, I'm thankful for the opportunities I got, especially through my dad, through my mom, all the support that they were able to give us, but also the country. I mean, it did provide something for me. It did give me my best friends. It gave me, lots of things that I probably wouldn't have had if I had stayed in Mexico. It doesn't mean it's a better country or not, but it's just at the time, I think my parents thought it would be a better thing for us, and I didn't have a choice. But I still would not take it back. I would still do it again, and would go if that was our case, it's like, yeah, I don't have anything to say. I would just go. But I'm not mad or angry at the government or the country. It's something that people think I should be, but I'm not. Or mad at my parents for some reason. It's like, no, they did the best they could and they gave me a really good life. It's like, why would I be angry at that? You know? And I think people
Mm-hmm.
just really want to judge on like, well, you can't love both kind of thing. And it's like going back to the black and white thing. It's like, no, I can be in the middle. I feel like I am a Mexican American. I might not have a legal status in America, but that's where I grew up. That you can't tell me that's not part of me, you know. And over here now that I'm in Mexico, I do feel weird speaking Spanish because I have an accent now, and it's like I mean, you could tell that I speak both really well, but I still have an accent, and it's sometimes I don't know. I feel embarrassed sometimes just speaking Spanish because it's just not. I definitely sound a
It's new. Yeah, it's new. I speak Italian and French. I haven't spoken them in a while, so I know what that's like. But
and yeah, that's just how it's been. I mean, I'm adjusting to in life here in Mexico. I I don't know much. I mean, it's literally only what I hear or what I watch in the news about Mexico. But I've come to find out that it's really been not really what they make it out to be, or at least I haven't been through that yet. Like everything seems where I'm at least I'm safe.
Yeah, I've seen that traveling around too. The news can pick up key spots, and that really ties interestingly about the United States too. And my point that you're making a great point. You were making a great point here. Obviously, all the points are quite brilliant here to bring to people's attention. But a great point for people who are supporting people like you as well is like it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You don't always have to go against the country that's having these problems. You know, it's still quite beautiful of country, and it's definitely a huge opportunity to live in that country called the United States. So, I mean, for you to want to come back, you wouldn't want a negative view anyway. So I see that being pushed a lot, and that's a great point for people on, like, let's say the left or people who support that. Because I made a lot of points on the right to obviously understanding immigration and things like that to not misunderstand it. That's a great one to take away. That a better way to help instead of getting clouded in like anti-US rhetoric.
And I think I definitely could have gone into that or been like at least inside, like I mentioned, some people were angry, some people were not happy, but I also saw that they probably could have made something better. They chose not to, or they just couldn't. I don't know what the situations were, but I could see how some people were angry at the country or were angry at the government, but that was not my case. That definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's always reasons, but I've always been interested in like it's not mutually exclusive perspective where, like, you know, I can have a problem with this country versus another, but it doesn't mean I don't want opportunity for my country or the other country. You know, I love them both. I'm just looking for the best so that I can take, you know, I can have that in my life. I don't want a world that's like broken down and not working, right?
No, and it gave me the life that I had. Like I said, my best friends, it gave me, you know, just gave me everything. I mean, it gave me home, it gave me my personality, it gave me who I was. Like I literally
it wouldn't be taking anything away really if you didn't love it, you know. So I mean, if we're protecting people, we need to make sure that we're leaving out points like that, you know, because it starts to contradict itself, and that's where people get a little clouded and then they can't hear you, you know. And we want to hear voices like this, people who are you know, Americans. Like, you sound like an American, like you're doing everything there, you're getting less than some, you know. You're not sitting around claiming benefits and not contributing and bugging people, you're not committing crimes, you're very much the perspective that people want to hear or protect. So yeah, I mean, that's a great point you make about the United States, and also Mexico. A slight point there on like you know, there's stories all over the place. It doesn't mean the country's in turmoil, you know. A war could be going on in the country and some people might not even hear it, you know. That's just to put it into perspective, you know. Like I've seen that in Ukraine, you know. Some people in Ukraine are like not actually getting bombs on their head every day, you know. That's some people's reality. But anyways, it's a great perspective, and I'm glad that you mentioned that your family and your friends have been with you throughout this whole process. I'm really glad to hear that. I bet they're happy to watch you and read your book and hear about that experience, you know.
And just something about, being able to call them. I mean, I call them on FaceTime now every day, and it's like how we talk, communicate. Over there and while detained, I would call my mom almost every day, but I would only have they would only give a certain amount of calls also for other people. So like I would call my friends one time during the week and then maybe put them all on the same line. We talked for like 5 minutes and then that was it. But they were still checking on me every day through text, calls here and there. But my mom, I would call her every day, but it wasn't like I could see her or anything like that, or see my nephews. My nephews are like 5 and 6, or 5 and 7. So they're like, I grew up with them. They've grown up with me. So just now being able to pick up the phone and being able to call them like anytime, it's just that's why I'm at peace. That's why I'm good. I mean, it's not the situation I want, but it's so much better than I was inside. And right now, I have a friend that just got released a couple of days ago, and me and him became like brothers in there. And like, I just was wishing for him to be also at peace with, this is what's going to happen. At least you're free. I always said to people, like, the worst that would happen is that we're free. And, that's not, that's not necessarily the worst thing, but inside you think about it like that. It's like the worst thing that could happen is free. Yeah, we're fighting to stay here, but I mean, the worst thing that would happen is have our freedom back. So he's now free. We're working on maybe meeting up here because he has no family either. I only have an aunt and uncle and my grandma here, but he has no family. All his family's back home in the U.S. too. So in there, we talked about, if we're both out or we both get released to Mexico, or even if we get released in the U.S., we would meet up and just because our bond went beyond those walls over there. So he's actually he likes to draw. So he actually is doing the cover for my book. So I'm excited.
Oh, wow. Great.
I'm excited to see how that turns out. He and I have stayed in touch even after I left. Like, he calls me all the time and we would check in. I help him out in a couple of things, filling out some paperwork. And I mean, we stayed in touch. And I think that was one of the best things that I got from detention, is like meeting all these people that are now part of my life. And,
yeah, it's adding. I mean, you're taking a very positive view on that. Not everybody has that family and friend circle. I mean, that goes with you anywhere based on the way that you're talking. So I'm glad that you have that. Your book sounds very exciting. There's tons of stories, different components to it that would make that really strong book. So I'd definitely be interested in having a read of that when it comes out or when you get close to the process. And if you want to talk about it, this podcast is gonna re-invite people on. So if you ever want to talk about that, then it's always open. But yeah, why don't you mention where people can find you one more time, and then we'll cut this one here.
So people can find me on Instagram. It's Jonathan Celis, JONATHANCELIS. And then my podcast, Halfway to Crazy, on YouTube. And it's also on Instagram. And right now we're starting to go back into it. So we're going to be starting to film here in a couple of weeks and just get back into it. Like, we were about to hit our 50th episode by the time I got arrested, so we never got to do that.
Yeah, there's so much going on. It's hard to talk about that. You have like 50 episodes, anniversary episode coming up when all this was happening. I mean, just showing more how you had things going, and then there's this.
So that's why I'm excited for like really getting back into it. I didn't want to just jump into it as soon as I got out, because like it's still processing. Even the book, like I wrote a lot of it in like a week. But then I was like, I need to put this down because it is also really hard sometimes reliving all of that. And it's like, well, I need to kind of step away from it. So I've been away from it for a couple of weeks now. And I plan to get back into it just to kind of find more stories, see what else I can put in there. But
yeah, you mentioned this is the first podcast you came on here for this. I mean, great. Glad to have you on. It's huge perspective. And it's a smart decision probably to keep it off the main podcast and talk about it in other places and develop that something, for the book and all that. And yeah, I'm glad to hear. I mean, it sounds like there's it really depends on obviously the legal process, but it sounds like a healthy way to go forward.
It's a good way to process it. I've realized that that's one of the main, I didn't want to just keep quiet about it. Like I said, I do want to make some noise. I do want people to know what this is all about, see the human side, really And I think I told you, like,
Mm.
I want to start another podcast with a friend from actually the one that I was talking about. We want to start a podcast and kind of talk about our experience and make it more of really the whole experience, how everything was, kind of make talk about immigration, all these things. But we definitely
Yeah.
have a different perspective than a lot of people would. So we want to talk about it, and we have a really
Yeah,
good dynamic.
we touched on great points for the right and the left, no matter what you identify
Yeah.
with. This is so it's fantastic that you know your perspective is clearly something for a podcast. You know, it's not like when you see that. How many times do you see misunderstanding on both sides to that level? So anyways, thanks for coming on. You're welcome anytime, and great luck with the book and the legal process.
Thank you. I mean, you were like one of the first ones to reach out, and I might be doing a couple more, but this was the first one. So I was nervous, but I also, like I said, I think I put all of that aside. I was like, I do want to just speak up, and I want to have a good conversation, and this was one of those. So I appreciate it for taking the time.
I'm very lucky to have caught you too, because you don't post too frequently on there, and it really took off. So I caught you at the right time.
Yeah, I was just starting to get into it, and I think I've seen. I mean, with the numbers on some of my posts, I saw some huge numbers. So I was like, oh,
huge numbers.
People are
huge numbers, tons of interest, people wanting you to come on podcasts. Yeah. Hopefully we can get this in the hands of some of those people who wanted to hear the story, because we were even clarifying some things that was happening in the post. So it'd be great if some of these people heard that. And then this a lot of perspective for me, like hearing that process on like being called in, that gave me chills. So
yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on and sharing that. Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Thank you.